Put on these glasses, and you'll enter the world of the game.
You go in, find your sister, help her shut down the game in 12 hours, or it's game over for everyone.
The third dimension.
I'm looking for my sister. She's somewhere on level 4.
You experience the rush.
Let's find your sister, Junie.
You feel the excitement.
Carmen's on this level. I will crush you! You have to go through me first, Game Boy. I'm his sister.
Let's kick some metal.
You live the danger.
Mega Race, the fastest, most dangerous race in the game.
Spy Kids 3D Game Over. Coming soon to 3 DVD with your own set of 3D glasses.
Did somebody ring the dingster? Pint-sized kid spy Junie Cortez faces his biggest challenge yet when he confronts the Toy Maker, a ruthless villain sentenced to virtual prison by the Organization of Super Spies. The Toy Maker has captured Junie's sister, OSS agent Carmen, and is now holding her inside a virtual reality environment called Game Over. Now Junie must use his cunning to advance to the nearly impossible level 5 in order to rescue his sister. I will say this, I think the first Spy Kids movie is probably Robert Rodriguez's best kids movie, just because it has a sense of charm to it. It actually feels like way more genuine than the other kids movies he made after that, which just feel like, oh, well, it entertained my kids, so naturally everyone's going to want to take their kids to go see it in the theater, and then you watch and it's like, this is embarrassingly bad. For the second Spy Kids movie, it at least had Steve Buscemi. So there was that at least.
You think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?
Then you come to this one. You come to the cinematic masterpiece that is Spy Kids 3D Game Over. Cinematic masterpiece in like 16 quotation marks. The movie begins with Junie from the other ones now being a private detective, and he's saving up a bunch of money to try and get this new video game that's coming out. It's called Game Over, which is in no way supposed to be some kind of suspicious plot to take over the world. Oh, no, no.
The game was created by someone known only as the Toy Maker, who was, once again, unavailable for interviews.
Except, oh wait, yeah, it actually does, because then Junie gets a call from the president, once again played by George Clooney, who, I remember I looked this up. George Clooney filmed all of his scenes in his living room in the same afternoon.
That might be the end of my career right there.
If that doesn't tell you the kind of quality movie we're in for, just you wait. But the reason that Junie decides he'll actually do it is because he has a personal matter in this, because his sister has been taken, so he decides to go back to the OSS, and we see Doctors Selma Hayek and Mike Judge, who's reprising his character from the second movie, who's now all of a sudden a good guy. Although I guess that kind of follows in the tradition of these movies, because I remember Alan Cumming, they made a good guy in the second movie, and he was the main villain of the first one. The plan is that the video game is going to be so addictive that kids are going to start playing it, and then they're just going to completely zone out and become zombies. In other words, exactly what most boomers think kids playing video games are already like. But they convinced Junie he has to go in to save Carmen because she's stuck in the game, because the Toy Maker is a personal enemy of the family, specifically their grandpa. I gotta bring this up. Sylvester Stallone is the one playing the Toy Maker, and there is even a scene where he's talking with multiple versions of himself.
Oh, we could like start the world over again and cure it of its diseases. We could begin anew.
Also, it says something that this movie, which isn't very good, is still a better career move for Sylvester Stallone than The Zookeeper, which came out way later. They send Junie into the video game world, and this is like the first 10 minutes of the movie, so they're not wasting any time with this plot. And this is where we get the beginning of everything being on green screen with very piss-poor CGI graphics. It may have worked for Sin City, but that was because that was an actual movie. This is a whole other story. Junie comes across these three guys who at first don't like him, but then they quickly realize that he's the guy, according to some video game prophecy, that, oh, he'll be the one to save the world and save everybody, so they gotta protect him. And these three kids are literally defined by, one's the tough one, one's the brainy one, and one kid literally says that he's the cool one. One thing I love is that this movie does kind of feel like it's made by someone who's never picked up a video game before, because Junie, all throughout the first half of this movie, is like, what does that mean? You know, oh, lives are replenishing? What does that mean? Oh, how do you control this thing? This kid was excited to get this video game, and it seems like he doesn't even know how to play a video game, period. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're a kid that plays video games and the idea of losing lives in a video game is a new concept, that's weak shit, son. So Junie ends up on the moon because he jumped off of a springboard and it landed him on the moon in the game. It happens. And the scientists outside the game say that he can bring in one person from his family.
Superior intellect. Cons. Physically disabled.
He's been paralyzed from the waist down for 30 years. His energy force would have doubled back again, making his arms, his heart, his brain twice as strong as a normal person.
What are you thinking, sir?
I choose Grandpa.
There's points where like he's like looking off. It looks like he's straight up looking at the script, and then they decide to like superimpose stuff like, oh, there's this butterfly in front of him. That was probably him just looking at the script, and they decided to work around it. While Grandpa is now running around with his new robot body chasing after a butterfly, which is actually being controlled by Stallone, Junie ends up at this tournament level where the players operate these giant mech suits and they have to fight one another. They introduce an obvious love interest for Junie, and it's at this point in the movie where I gotta say the CG is bad, but it actually does look pretty similar to all those like console graphics at the time. I mean, it does look like one of those like PS2 original Xbox graphics. It does look like that. Versus the effects in something like Shark Boy and Lava Girl, which just sucked all around. The actual shitty graphics in this movie actually kind of work in its favor. After that, there's a scene where everyone's in a racing level, and the reason they do the racing level is because the cool kid of the group says that he doesn't think that Junie is really the guy, so he has to prove himself in a race, and Junie ends up winning, but it feels like it's really unfair because Grandpa straight up helps him cheat. Like he straight up drives up to next to one of the kids and takes him out of his car. So yeah, you got these three guys and you got the girl, and they think that Junie is the guy, so they decide to help him, and from there they go on their epic adventure to try and get his sister free. After that, there's a scene where they come across these two guys in what looks like Matrix costumes. But it turns out they're really like computer nerds or computer hackers, because then they transform and they're really dressed up like stereotype nerds with button-down shirts and pocket protectors and shit like that. Damn, I gotta say, these kids got some balls. They were making fun of Discord admins before Discord admins were even a thing. After that, there's another level where they have to like do some kind of... It kind of reminded me of Fall Guys, I'm not gonna lie. They're on platforms and they have to hit each other with these giant Q-tip things. And eventually... the girl ends up being the one that has to go, because those are the stakes. Only 4 of them can continue on, and so the girl ends up falling off just so that Junie could continue the game and save his sister. I love it because before that, Junie gives her a lot of his life points. Now tell me, is that a super Chad move or is that a super simp move? So I don't know what it is, but tell me this is not the most funny, dated thing from this movie.
We never even got an email address.
Before everyone was trying to slide into your Twitter and Instagram DMs, everybody was trying to get them email addresses. Either way, the boys and Grandpa continue on. They find Carmen, and then they have to get to the final level, which is the toy maker's lair. And there's this part where they're all like surfing on lava.
Rip that wave, Junie.
Also, maybe it's just because I reviewed it earlier this year, this whole lava surf scene kind of reminded me of, what was the movie? The Bionicle movie. Because that also had a scene where people were racing on lava and had really mediocre CGI. That's what it reminded me of. They show up outside their lair, and now they start to get cold feet about Junie being the guy. Because then Elijah Wood, of all people, shows up, and he says that he's the guy.
And you are?
I'm the guy.
You know what? Out of all the memorable scenes that are in this movie, Elijah Wood has probably one of my personal favorites. Just this line delivery.
Cake.
I'm sorry, that shit's fucking funny. Yeah, Elijah Wood just dies right then and there. That's really fucked up and sad. But the girl comes back, and it turns out that, oh, she was actually like a hologram or some shit that was being used by the toy maker to follow their every move. So then they decide, oh, there's a portal right over there, and we gotta get out of the game world. And the video game virus glitch girl decides to keep the portal open for them so that they can escape. That's so sweet. So everyone's now outside the video game world. There are still 15 minutes left in the movie, though. because they then throw this whole thing about there were 2 switches, one that will get everybody out and one that would unleash the toy maker. The toy maker is now unleashed, and as if there wasn't a shit ton of like people throwing things at the camera or tons of like zoom up shots to try and make things look like it was 3D, they then have a thing at the very end during this like final fight scene where people put on glasses, which was so obviously them trying to let people know to put on their 3D glasses.
Quick, put your glasses on.
I recently watched all the Friday the 13th movies during October because they had a marathon on IFC, and while some of the 3D shit was really forced in Friday the 13th Part 3, it ain't got nothing on this shit. I just say, I am so glad that we are finally out of the 3D phase. It feels like everyone has finally wised up to 3D being such a fucking phony gimmick to try and suck money out of people, like just so they can have an excuse to see things at IMAX. So Junie and Carmen say they can't just take all the robots on themselves, they need help from everybody. So then we get cameos from a bunch of other people. You get cameos from Alan Cummings and his sidekick from the first movie. You get Danny Trejo showing up as always. You have Steve Buscemi, and you get... You knew it was coming.
Somebody ring the dingster!
It's still funny. So then Grandpa meets up with the toy maker. They have a back and forth, and they talk about, putting their differences aside, finally laying their rivalry to rest, becoming friends. The toy maker, of course, decides to become a good guy. This is one of those animes where they decide to give the villain a very forced redemption arc. And then everybody does that thing where they put their hands in the middle and yeah! In conclusion, take a little bit of Sword Art Online, a little bit of Ready Player One, and you get the greatest entry in the Spy Kids franchise. But in all seriousness, yeah, Spy Kids 3, it's not a very good movie, but it is kind of helped by the fact that it has some really unintentionally funny moments. I mean, this is the kind of movie I would recommend people watch just to make fun of it. I mean, I didn't see the 4th one. I heard that was really shitty, which, I mean, kind of explains why I think a lot of people don't really make videos making fun of it as much as this one. Like, there are a lot more videos of people making fun of the 2nd and 3rd movie, but I think that's kind of the charm of it. It's not as good as the first one, and that's just mainly because the first Spy Kids was actually a genuinely entertaining little movie for families. This one, on the other hand, along with the other kids' movies that Robert Rodriguez makes, they just feel like, oh, well, my kids think this is cool, so I'll just make this into a movie and everyone will love it. And it's like, no, not really. So yeah, if you watch this movie unironically, it's not a good movie. However, if you do watch it as a so bad it's good movie, I laughed a lot. There is that. I mean, this movie does have a lot of so bad it's funny moments, so that's probably what keeps it from being just an absolutely shitty movie. I mean, comparing this to other family movies I've looked at before, this has way more so bad it's funny moments, and it makes it stand out a lot more compared to other crap like Marmaduke or Gulliver's Travels, which didn't have any of that kind of thing. This movie is at least so dumb that it actually has moments that I could look back on and laugh at. Congratulations, Spy Kids 3. You're a dumb movie, but you're an entertainingly dumb movie. So tune in next time for the 3rd and final video of the Blockbusters this month. We're going to be talking about fast food training videos, just as a way to kind of mix things up, not just talk about regular bad movies, talk about like more underground, obscure videos that I could find on YouTube. It's going to be kind of like what we did when I reviewed the Blockbuster training videos. So it's just something that it's just like one of those on and off things that we do every once in a while, just as a way to mix things up. So yeah, look forward to that when it comes out. Until then, guys, I'm Adam Sykes of the Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.